Hello, this is Eddie Mendoza and welcome to another segment of Pathways of Hope. Today's Gospel narrates another interesting episode in the life of Jesus. The three Gospel writers, Mark, Matthew, and Luke, wrote about the same incident, but some with more details and preceding events than others. Today, we reflect on Mark's version found in the opening verses of chapter 6, verses 1 to 6. This is the story when Jesus pays a visit to his hometown in Nazareth and has a chance to speak in their synagogue on the Sabbath in his, of course, usual eloquent and amazing style. However, his kababayans, his fellow townmates, though they were amazed at his depth of preaching, they were not impressed and they were cynically putting him down, saying, "Oh, where did this man get these things? He's just a carpenter. He's Mary's boy, isn't he? We've known him since he was a kid. Who does he think he is?" Apparently, they had judged him in their minds beforehand and had already tagged him as unworthy of their attention. Now, Jesus was not surprised. No, because he knew beforehand that he would not be received well by his townmates and by his family, by his townfolks. In fact, he later declared to his disciples, "A prophet has little honor in his hometown among his relatives on the streets where he played as a kid." Well, maybe you've actually not experienced this kind of negative talk against you, but you're probably aware of the possibility that this kind of negative talk among your circle of peers, co-workers, or maybe even friends and family might occur, isn't it? Sadly, there are people who have hang-ups and insecurities and who are threatened by other people's efforts to excel or to do good, and that instead of being inspired themselves to also do good, they would rather bring down or put down those well-meaning people. Just like in the story of the people in Nazareth, they would miss out on a very, very good thing because of their bias or disbelief. Now, first off, I hope you're not one of those who put down others for trying to do good. Anyway, today I won't speak about that kind of character problem. Rather, I'd like to speak about those of us who, like Jesus, we want to do right, we want to say or do the right thing, but we face the possible displeasure or contempt of others whose opinions we actually value. The question is, are we going to have those negative people deter us from speaking out, from proclaiming the good news, from even doing good? Now, there are several cases where this would apply. Let's say you're in a gathering among friends to celebrate a happy occasion. Or maybe one of your friends talks about his troubled situation or maybe an illness or a problem. Whatever. Would you offer to stop everything during that event? Stop everything for a moment and invite everyone to join you in prayer for this person? Or would you rather pray silently than to be tagged as being holier than others, or maybe even a killjoy? Another example, you may be an employee and you observe a practice in the office which you believe is not morally acceptable, and you might be involved in it. Would you speak the truth to your manager or to your manager's manager and point out a better way perhaps? Or would you be quiet and not be judged as too self-righteous? A third example would be, let me ask you, of all your circle of family, friends, former classmates, office mates, including your friends and followers in your social media account, question, how many of them have actually read or heard you speak a word of godly wisdom or sacred scripture or holy blessing? Do you wear your faith on your sleeve, or do you keep it hidden when you're in front of other people who don't know that part about you? Now, if you're in a similar situation like these that I described, I believe that this story from Mark will give you a great encouragement and an encouraging lesson about the way Jesus dealt with the criticisms and the put-downs of his own town folks. You see, that even if Jesus knew beforehand, even if he knew beforehand that he was not going to be received well, Jesus went to Nazareth anyway. He spoke in the synagogue anyway. Now, Jesus wasn't aiming for popularity. He never aimed for popularity. He was reaching out. And like the farmer in his parable, he knew that this was going to be rocky ground. But he sowed the seed anyway. Mark says, Jesus could not do much there because the people didn't expect him to do anything. But he went anyway, didn't he? So, my friends, what is the gospel trying to tell us here? I think we can draw two simple lessons of encouragement and hope from this. And I hope you will be encouraged. First, let us not focus on the results of our good works, but rather, let us focus on doing the good work no matter the consequence. Whether you're fruitful or not, whether you will be condemned, whether your works will be accepted, do good anyway. Second, although people would reject and judge you, it is not you alone that they judge, It is Jesus whom they judge. Take consolation, my dear friends, in knowing that you are not accountable to anyone else but Jesus. And if you follow him and do as he would do, maybe even pick up your cross, you will receive the rewards of a faithful servant. After all, your duty as a servant is to obey and to do the will of God. Now, several times in the Bible, you will read similar instructions and encouragement. In Proverbs 3:27, it reads, "Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due when it is in your power to do it." Paul twice wrote, once to the Galatians, once to the Thessalonians, the same thing. He said, "Do not grow weary of doing good." Do not grow weary of doing good. Do not grow weary in doing good. You see, brothers and sisters, our duty is to sow the seeds, is to speak the good news, is to do the good that God has called us to do. That's it. That's it. Let's not hesitate because we're worried about the consequences or the potential rejection or the possible pushback or the indifference. Let's simply trust that the Lord will act on the results that He has planned beforehand. Okay? Let's simply trust that the Lord will act on the results that He has planned beforehand. And you know what, my friends? You know what? The story about the visit of Jesus to Nazareth, it does not end there. No. Mark says that Jesus laid His hands anyway on a few sick people and healed them. Yes. Apparently, some people did come to Jesus and ask for His healing mercy. And for those people, Jesus made a difference in their lives. Mission accomplished. In the same way, may your light shine before others. Again, this is Eddie Mendoza. May God bless us all.